I'm a mindset coach, so focusing on a lot of self-love is where my story really started.
I grew up in Saskatoon and in a pretty rough neighborhood, actually. So I became quickly aware of the social problems that exist. Certainly left a mark on my consciousness that I've never been able to shake.
I began the transition around 10 years ago, and it's transitioning from a woman that was hurt and in a cycle of abusive relationships and professional burnout to where I am today.
It started when my position of 6 years at a seminary working there was eliminated. They went through budget cuts, and I was a part of that. I really didn't think I was going to have a problem finding a job or anything like that. You know, I felt like I had credentials and qualifications, and it was not that easy. I had applied for job after job, only to get rejected. Got to a place where I just was wondering what is happening now, and found myself in just this low place. I ended up getting a job working in a position that I just did not see myself working in. It wasn't, you know, not that I was too good or anything like that. It just wasn't what I thought I would be doing, especially at this stage in my life. But in the midst of that, God was working.
I knew that when I went into work, it wasn't what I wanted to do anymore. And I had this feeling in the pit of my stomach that I wanted to do something more, but I didn't really know what that looked like. And I honestly, at the time, remember looking in the mirror and thinking, I don't even like the person I'm staring at anymore. I wasn't taking care of myself. I don't even know if I knew what self-love was at that time.
Society is at, no doubt in my mind, that we're at a crossroads now where some transformative things have to take place. For the first time in my life, you know, we're starting to see some more open discussions about what that could possibly mean in terms of changing those systemic issues.
I found myself in a cycle of abusive relationships because of my lack of understanding of myself, my lack of awareness, my lack of self-esteem, my lack of self-worth. And I feel that a lot of women, we end up in situations where we don't necessarily realize that we are lacking in those areas until we find ourselves in a cycle of some sort.
A trip to Bali for a self-love retreat presented itself, and I just knew, I'm like, if I do not click this button right now, if I do not go on this journey, my life will not be the same. And I think I was probably headed down a pretty poor direction at the time. So it was a life-changing journey, and I fell in love with the material. I fell in love with the transition on who I became as a result of it, and who I continue to kind of grow into.
Anyway, this is what people will get out of my music. It may not be for everybody, but I think there's a real need for it. There is unfortunately a lack of musicians taking up these kinds of hard topics that are maybe not the most poetic type of subjects to deal with, but nonetheless, the most important in my opinion.
Even as an ordained minister, I teach and preach about the goodness of God and how God will sustain you even in the darkness and in the wilderness. And here I am in this place, and I needed him to talk with me. I needed him to show me that there was more. I had to remember that he had plans for my life, and he did. He started moving some things. I became a help there. I became a leader there, and God began to move things there for me. So I began to see all of those things were a part of his plan.
I transitioned from being in that cycle and to being in a place where now I have the self-love, I have the confidence, and I actually help people to develop their confidence. I overcome many of my fears to be able to be in this position, and I'm proud and actually happy, and really more than anything grateful to be able to share my experiences in a way where other people can be also transformed.